Cool. Eagles?
Eagles. So Eagles fans were incensed because they wanted CeeDee Lamb. They had their eyes on one of the top 3 receivers, right?
Yeah.
They would have needed to trade up to make it happen. Couldn't make it happen. They get Jalen Reagor, who we really like, but Eagles fans are not happy.
Yeah, dude. And I don't know if I'm just not seeing it with Justin Jefferson, but I think Jalen Reagor is the better prospect, man. Justin Jefferson,
I agree.
Like a technician, which is good. That's not bad.
Right.
But it seems like that is what his ceiling is like a big technical slot receiver who can get the job done. I think his best case scenario is probably a Doug Baldwin career, which is a great career. But it's Doug Baldwin was only able to have the success he was because Russell Wilson was his quarterback,
Right.
I think Jalen Reagor has I don't think he'll look the way he wins won't look like T.Y. Hilton, but do you remember how crazy dominant T.Y. Hilton was in his prime? I think he has potential to be that level of dominant despite his size. He's just is crazy fast, is a wild athlete, can make you miss when he has the ball in his hands, and is in jump ball situations is not 5'10", is essentially 6'3", because he has such a crazy vertical.
I see him being Marvin Jones Jr. with the Lions, where it's not necessarily lighting it up, but just a reliable target who is 800 yards, 900 yards, 1,000 yards, where it's he's a centerpiece of the team, but not one of those wide receiver one top slice guys, which is you need guys like that on your team. So
yeah,
it's frustrating because wide receiver 3 to wide receiver 4 in this draft was a big tier marker. You can tell looking at the tape that those guys are immediate step in top wide receivers, Judy Lamb and Ruggs, and that once you get to Reagor, Jefferson, Higgins, Pittman, those guys, it's they're going to contribute, but they're not they're good enough to play in the pros, but not necessarily good enough to thrive and excel immediately in the pros. So I can see the frustration, but
yeah.
But you think very highly of Jalen Reagor, then? You think elite?
I think he would have been my wide receiver 3 if we made the big board today. He'd be my wide receiver 3. I think I have
interesting.
I think I'm more of a believer in him than Ruggs. Ruggs just didn't produce that much. He had a crazy home run rate where it's half the time he had the ball it was a touchdown, but in 4 years he averaged 25 catches a game. It's
right.
And he was the third option usually. He ran a 4.27, but didn't even get the most deep balls in his own offense.
Right.
Jared Jeudy did.
I also feel Ruggs is going to be neutered in Oakland. That no one's scared of that offense right now. But right. Maybe they can build around Josh Jacobs to bring guys into the box, and then Ruggs to run a crossing route behind the linebackers, a play action, get them something there. Maybe they can work around it, but I'm more excited to watch Drew Lock throw to Jerry Jeudy and Dak Prescott throw to CeeDee Lamb than I am to watch Derek Carr throw to Ruggs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. The
Jalen Hurts?
Yes.
Should we talk Jalen Hurts pick?
Yes. So I'm fine with Jalen Hurts. So the big argument I hear against Jalen Hurts is all right, so the Eagles having a really good, they call it QB2. They have a whole philosophy around QBs where it's they want their goal, and this has always been put in quotes, and I think this is proof that the quote shouldn't exist, but it's their goal is for their QB2 to be a top 10 QB. And it's always that's such an outlandish sentence that's always been in quotes, that's their goal. But it's clearly no one believed that was true. To me, this feels it's oh no, they think that. That's their philosophy for them. Because I think they think Jalen Hurts has a high ceiling. And then so the argument against him that I've heard a couple times is okay, well, if you yes, you won a Super Bowl because of competent QB play. So I understand why you would value that. But this is a year where Jameis is still out there, where Cam is still out there. And it's all right, but Jameis, do you want to rely on Jameis in a playoff game when he hasn't played up until then? Because I don't. if I'm rolling the dice on Jameis, I'm rolling the dice full time on Jameis. I'm going, I bet I can pull something out of him. I'm not rolling the dice like we've had a really good season. Now that we put 16 games into it and we're in the playoffs, Carson Wentz is hurt. Let's just put the ball in Jameis's hands and see.
But like, so do you think it's a bad idea that the Saints signed him as their backup quarterback there in that situation?
Not necessarily, but I don't think Drew Brees has been injured at the end of half of all of the seasons he's been involved in.
Sure. I think Jameis is good enough to step into New Orleans and keep them going. Like, but yeah, I know what you mean.
And then my other thing is like, well, Cam's still out there. And it's like, all right, well, Cam's team chose Teddy Bridgewater. So, like, do you think Cam's healthy? Because I am now firmly in the zone of thinking Cam can't be healthy because no one in their right mind chooses healthy Teddy Bridgewater over healthy Cam Newton.
What's funny is that Jameis Winston, I don't know if he said it or if it was like an article attributing something to him, but they were like, he's trying to be the next Teddy Bridgewater. And it's like, wait, Teddy Bridgewater hasn't done shit. All he did was sit on the bench for the Saints, play 5 games that they carried him to victory, and then he signed a $60 million deal. So I was like, wait, is he trying to be the next Teddy Bridgewater, and that he just hopes that if he lays low for a year and people forget how bad he is, he'll be trusted as the starter again in the year, which I think is not inaccurate.
No, it's a good idea.
We've talked about this before. We're like, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, like anyone who seems like they are or could be a starting QB, their fire kind of goes up and down, where it's like, there's this thing where it's like, the more, if they get a shot and they blow it, then they're back at the back of the list.
Yeah.
But if they got that shot, then they come back up to the front. It's like, well, remember that last time someone thought he was a starting quarterback, but didn't work out then, but he was obviously good enough to be a starting quarterback, so we can get him and try. So it's like, and so I feel like, this might happen with Jameis. This might happen with Josh Rosen, where some team is like, Josh Rosen, hey, remember when he was a top 15 draft pick? Let's get him in there.
Yeah.
Marcus Mariota. I mean, yeah. So we were talking, okay, so Jalen Hurts. So Dan, I don't want to say that we are geniuses. I don't want to say that we are prophets, that we predict the future, but I don't know if you saw the Eagles draft Jalen Hurts. They also, as an undrafted free agent, signed Khalil Tate, quarterback out of Arizona. Do you know who Khalil Tate is?
What's his deal?
Dude, look up Khalil Tate highlights. He's a quarterback out of Arizona. There's some stat where it was like, 1 year against Colorado, he ran for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then the next year he passed for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns or something. Like, he's insane. He was the backup quarterback and the regular quarterback got injured. Like, I think this was either 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago. And he came in and was just like immediately one of the most electrifying players in college football.
Cool.
So it's like, he has like multiple like 50-yard touchdown runs just because he's such a dual threat and stuff. But like, I guess like, his skills just don't quite translate to the NFL level or whatever. Yeah. But he's an undrafted free agent with the Philadelphia Eagles. So why would you draft Jalen Hurts? Why would you have an undrafted free agent like this guy? Unless you were saying that the QB2 was really important to them. But why would QB2 be important if they're just sitting on the bench? Unless QB2 isn't sitting on the bench, unless QB2 is in the game. Handoff, wildcat, swing pass, screen pass, double pass, flea flicker. Are they about to open up the infallible sports pals offense in Philadelphia?
Yeah, baby.
I don't know. I'm just not saying, just saying.
All I'm saying is that if in 50 years there's not a formation called ISP, I'm going to be pissed. Genuine question. Do you think any part of the Eagles organization is like, dude, Carson Wentz can't stay healthy? You want to know why we're getting Jalen Hurts? Because we think we might need a new QB1. Do you think any part of it is that?
Maybe. But I think it's a good enough idea as a QB2 that you don't have to necessarily think that. Right. Where if you're like, if Jalen Hurts has to start one playoff game over the next 4 years, this draft pick is worth it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's like, I get it. And I don't know. I was like not big on Jalen Hurts because he like lost his starting job to Tua Tagovailoa, but then Tua ended up being like the most effective passer in college football history. And then Jalen Hurts went to Oklahoma and did like extremely well too. So I'm like, oh, maybe there's something to it. I don't know. I like it as an outside the box pick. I think if I were an Eagles fan, I might be upset. I'm not sure what exactly their like roster needs are, like where else they wanted to go with that pick, but like, I don't know, man. They made the playoffs last year. They're clearly not terrible. They can afford to get goofy with it.
Right. They like needed linebacker. Linebacker's probably their big need.
I have heard that people are high on their 6th round picks: Quez Watkins, the wide receiver, and Prince Tega Winogo, the tackle out of Auburn.
Yeah, dude. Prince Tega was in like the top 100 of several people's draft boards.
So I like their draft.
I'm also on board with it.
Okay. Giants get Andrew Thomas up top. Sure, protect Daniel Jones.